Prologue, Moving. Fall of 1992. It had just been you and your mother for about a decade now. Your father had left you and your mother when you were 5, so he wasn't a figure you really knew much of. You couldn't blame him anymore for leaving, considering the 17-year age gap between you and your mother. You didn't really mind, though. Your mother was your best friend. You didn't need your father in your life. Your mom was always warm and fuzzy and pretty laid back. She always provides and watches out for you. Knowing this, you wondered why she ripped you out of school so early in the year and made you say goodbye to your friends. You remembered the night your mother told you that you guys were moving. She came home drunk, clearly trying to escape her own mind. Her words seemed to merge as she went on about some spiritual awakening and about something calling her. Basically, you both knew that she needed to get out of this town. Her reputation hadn't been the best, and you both would have benefited from a clean slate. After that night, your mother started searching for the perfect town. You doubted it existed, but she believed it was out there. About a week ago, she claimed that she'd found it. Some town called Knockfell, in the middle of nowhere. Before you could give your thoughts, she blurted out that she had already signed a lease on an apartment. Your mother wasn't perfect and often gave in to her impulses. You clearly didn't have a choice, so by the end of the week, you had said your goodbyes and packed your things, leaving behind the world you once knew to your currently sleepy position in the car. With your head leaned against the leather car seat, you gazed at the scenery outside, fighting your eyelids to stay awake. "Look!" your mother chimed as she pointed at a sign on the side of the road. "Welcome to Knockville," it read. You let out a grunt, trying to sound happy. "You're gonna love it here, I promise. As soon as I got here, I just knew that this was the place for you and me." Your brain toned her voice out, too tired to process the words. Your head became heavy. Eventually, you gave up trying to stay awake. You groaned as your mother gently shook you awake. "Sweetheart, we're here." You slowly opened your eyes to a snow-covered apartment complex. It was an unusual sight for you to see snow in November. "Welcome to Addison Apartments!" She beamed and smiled warmly, stepping out of the car with her arms spread as if she were presenting a grand view. You smiled at your mother's excitement, but the building looked pretty drab to you. It was probably the most plain building you've ever seen. The glow from the various windows were the only thing that illuminated the apartments. "Be a dear and help me carry some of these boxes." You stepped out of the car and stretched. It was a cold November night. Your skin raised as soon as the breeze nipped at your flesh. I really should have worn my jacket instead of putting it in a box. Only the essentials of your belongings managed to fit in your mom's car. The rest was coming in the moving van within the week. The moment you stepped into the building, something felt off. You couldn't tell if it was the cameras watching you or the heavy air. The air seemed to suffocate you, making it almost impossible for you to breathe properly. Your mother blamed it on poor ventilation and the place being new to you. It was hard to see anyways with the boxes stacked in your arms. You watched as your mom pushed the number 4 on the elevator, feeling it lurch as it began to climb.
Going up.
You stepped out of the elevator onto the 4th floor, following your mother down the hall. Your brow furrowed as you passed a door with the placard 403 that looked like it had claw marks on the outside. It was boarded up too. What the hell? "Mom, what is this? The Shining?" You began to ask before she cut you off. "Ta-da!" she hollered after finally getting the door open. She distracted you from the boarded-up room and urged you to step inside the empty apartment. You looked around the bland and empty room. The walls were plastered with a yellowing, ugly floral wallpaper which attempted to complement the matted green carpet that covered the living room floor. The kitchen had black and white tile. A few tiles were chipped and had yellowed with age. Your jubilant mother wanted to give you a tour of the room, but there wasn't much to see besides the 2 bedrooms, which looked like a smaller version of the living room, and the bathroom that shared the same tile as the kitchen, but with bathroom appliances. "So, they don't provide a couch, a table, or anything?" you asked, looking around at the well-used apartment. "No, sweetheart, this is what it looks like when you move." You raised your eyebrows at her. She shifted her weight and put her hands on her hips. "Look, I know we have our work cut out for us, but I know you're really gonna love it here. Is the landlord or the owner or whatever you call it gonna check in at least?" You were trying to find a reason to like this place, other than that your mother seemed happy. "No," your mother answered softly. "I spoke to the woman who sold the land to the owner of the apartments, Miss Rosenberg. She told me." "You talked to the lady who sold the land? What does she have to do with anything?" You cut off your mom as she had done to you earlier. You covered your soft lips, realizing that your words came off harsher than you intended. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to sound so snippy. You whispered, ashamed. Your mother took your hand in hers. Miss Rosenberg lives in the apartments along with the owner, Terrence Addison. Miss Rosenberg talked about the people who live here, and that there's another girl your age who lives in the apartments. Now, the owner himself is a little... She squeezed your hands, afraid you'd snap again. He doesn't leave his room, and he talks through his mail slot. Your mother looked down at her feet. She was clearly upset that you didn't love the place immediately as she had. You squeezed her hands back and gave her a soft smile. You knew she was trying to do her best. Your mother may be impulsive, but she's not dumb. There must be some charm about this place if your mother was willing to look past a bubble boy apartment owner. How about this? We can finish carrying up the boxes and then you can go explore while I make dinner. All this talking made you forget about what you had seen next door. Eager to escape and see, you'd do anything to make your mother happy. Deal.